Allow me to beg your indulgence for one moment. This is the artist formerly known as Damian Sandow, now known as Aaron Stevens, and you're listening to the Talk and Roll Express with Lewis, Thomas, Oliver, and Cameron, covering everything from murder mysteries to union stabs and always getting the job done straight from the enclosed pool area. You're welcome.
Right, guys. Clash of the Champions 25. Initial impressions of this show.
Well, to be honest, I think it was a good show. I think round and round it was a good show. But I also think with the quality of the card and the quality of the matches that thus followed, I think we could have had more from this show.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was a decent enough show. The talent on it was pretty great. And I just thought some of the matches were a bit kind of rushed. And yeah, it felt like, I said this last time as well, it's like a glorified house show. And I don't mind that aspect because I love house shows. I think you can get some great matches there because the guys are a lot more kind of just loosened up. There's no that same pressure. But with this, I found it very hit and miss.
Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe it has to be the only big show / pay-per-view that ends in them promoting a WCW Saturday night. Like, you know, the existence of television shows is to build up. You don't build down. But,
I mean, that's what the whole house show thing came to as well for me. It's like you're promoting TV, you're using this to promote TV, but guys, this is one of your big shows for the year.
Yeah, sure. So let's not waste any time getting in the first match in the card of the Battle of the Tashes, Rick Rude versus Road Warrior Hawk. Now, obviously, you don't have to watch Dark Side of the Ring to know that Road Warrior Hawk had his demons, and I think it was pretty clear from the get-go when you saw him coming out that he was maybe not in the best shape.
Everyone in this match had a mustache.
Yeah.
And I don't like seeing Hawk in singles competition. I don't know, I just don't.
I've never got that thing where they try to take like one member of a tag team and like give them the big main event world title thing, because you know it's not going to happen. It almost never ever works. I know they did it recently with Roman and one of the Usos. Was it Jay? But I've never ever got that thing.
No, I mean, with that, the Uso and Reigns thing, I'll defend a bit more because you knew Uso was never going to win it. But because of our family, they have a really good story around it. If I was watching this match at the time, would I have genuinely believed Hawk was going to win WCW's version of the Universal Championship?
I mean, the Road Warriors were two of those guys that, they came in together as well, so you couldn't break them apart. They were just so, they pretty much dominated the 80s. I mean, obviously we watched that episode of WCW from 85, and the Warriors were just as big as Flair or the Horsemen in that, and which is kind of unprecedented for a tag. But
it just looked weird, seeing myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, you didn't even have Animal.
No.
I couldn't remember his name.
Sorry, I couldn't remember the other one.
What's the other one called? He's called Road Warrior. That's his name. He's called the Road Warrior.
It's called Road Warrior 1 and Road Warrior 2. You know?
It's weird as well. Just the whole setup of the match. Obviously, we've spoke about how there's one half of probably one of the most famous tag teams in the world, if not the most, going in singles competition against the guy who's holding the big gold belt in the first match of the card. Now, I know it's a glorified house show, but you're like, what? What? But I suppose, again, the actual match itself justifies its place on the card. I don't think this match got going at all. I think it was too slow. There was nothing happening. I like the bit where Hawk was trying to lock up with Rick Rude, and Rick Rude kept pulling away from it. I think, although that was incredibly slow, it built good heel heat. But again, yeah, I think this is the match that sticks out for me. That it's Rick Rude against Road Warrior Hawk, and it's like nothing really happened, and the match was over in a matter of minutes with a pretty shaky DQ finish. I mean, if you're gonna do a DQ finish with a big fucking heel, you like be a bit more flamboyant with it. Do something that like really gets the crowd worked up. But what I will say is, I found it great that he came out in his dressing gown, and he then, because I mean, the last one, no one just fucking bothered showing up with the belts, man. They were in briefcases, they were in people's hotel room, they were in a fucking North Carolina pawn shop, allegedly. But Rick Rude taking off his dressing gown to reveal the belt, I think all wrestlers should have to wear dressing gowns when they're the champion and just reveal the belt.
I mean, it fit him like a glove, didn't it? That
Oh.
It did not look out of place on those washboard abs. Oh, well, it just should have had that belt for 10 years straight.
He looked like a champion.
$1 million.
And that's all you need in wrestling. You just need to look like the champion.
Yeah.
You do kind of look at, obviously I'm carrying that and wonder why Vince didn't have the presence of mind to put the winged eagle on him at the time. Obviously, I know he was an IC guy back in '90, and obviously that slid on him like a glove as well. But he was one of those guys you probably could have built as the big bad of the company.
Definitely, but I mean, it was there during Hogan's dominance.
I was going to say,
chance.
now you mention that, yeah, politicking was. I have to win, brother. Anyway, I mean, if we want to talk about slow paced, I mean, we've got the Equalizer versus the Shockmaster to move on to. So,
I'm still trying to figure out how the Shockmaster, gimmick-wise, went from being this.
I thought it was a one and done affair with the Stormtrooper helmet, and he fell through the wall, and that was him. Like, I thought it was immediately that. No, apparently he had like matches and everything.
No, I remember him having matches, but I just can never understand how he went from being like this gimmicked up, mystical type character to a builder.
I think his gimmick was that he was just pissed. I think that's it. I don't know whether it was explicitly mentioned, but obviously he shows up dressed as a stormtrooper and he falls through the wall. He's Barney Gumble before Barney Gumble, and then the next week he's just like found a hard hat, and obviously because he's pissed, like wearing a hard hat to the ring is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I might just go as the Shockmaster for Halloween this year.
That works.
A hard hat.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
cheaper than getting the Stormtrooper helmet off Amazon. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna need to up the calorific intake for that one, mate.
I was going to say because
I've got a few months.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Pubs are back open.
Was he not tugboat? Was he not tugboat in the WWF?
I'm just gonna say yes.
Yeah, that's quite. Yeah, I want to go with that. But can you imagine like you make it out of the WWF where you've been saddled with the sailor gimmick, for however many years, and you arrive down in Atlanta, and the booker gives you we're gonna make you the Shockmaster, and it's like, oh god, I'm the Shockmaster. That's gonna sound just amazing. It's like that, and then the guy just pulls the big Stormtrooper helmet's covered in glitter out of the cover, and it's just his soul must have just been crushed.
Oh no, but even worse than that, he's like, but that's not all.
We're not going to tell you about this timber joist that was put on the floor.
Yeah, just smacking the wall like, yeah, completely hollow. You'll go through it, no problem. He was also Tugboat.
Was Tugboat not also Typhoon?
He was also Typhoon.
You're right.
Jesus, man, this guy had
holy trifecta, isn't it? The Son and the Holy Ghost.
Oh, okay, right. I've found. Hang on, just give me a hot minute. If you're listening at home, I'm just changing my name.
Like, do you know?
There we go.
Probably a little bit of behind the scenes stuff on this. The guy who actually voiced the Shockmaster in the infamous Sid falling through the wall promo was Ole Anderson.
What?
I mean, Cammy would just have an absolute meltdown now if he knew that. I mean, first of all, he'd be encouraging us to talk about Rude versus Hawk for another 20 minutes.
What the hell are we going to say?
He would find a way to discuss it. He would find a way. But, yeah, no, he would be in absolute disarray that Ole Anderson was the voice of the Shockmaster.
Do you know the best thing about the Shockmaster is, though, and I don't think he gets credit for this, he rolled with it. I mean, literally, he falls at the wall. Oh. His helmet comes off, he picks it back up, pretends like nothing happened, and just goes back out of the gimmick.
What was he supposed to do?
Leave.
Yeah, I can't imagine he was in the upper echelons of the WCW payroll.
We just discussed the fact that there's a wrestler called the Equalizer. Like, nobody had tippled on that. Like, it wasn't one of the biggest TV shows of the 80s with Edward Woodward.
No? Why would you? if it happens in wrestling, that's the first time it's ever happened. I'd copyright. I think that's what I love the most about going back and watching like 90s wrestling, because it's like there's The Crow. Oh, The Equalizer, that was a TV show.
Do you remember WCW also had a Spider-Man gimmick?
Did they?
I think he was called Arachnaman or something. Seriously.
There was Black Scorpion, I know that, which was... Like...
Google it. Google Spider-Man WCW. Seriously. They tried to get away with this, and I think that Marvel said no.
Well, I mean, even up until the later years, because remember we did the episode where they were showing the vignettes for Sub-Zero.
Oh my!
No, not Sub-Zero, Glacier.
Glacier.
The fact that they even had like the blue lighting and everything, I mean, it was so on the nose.
I think I can see why Marvel didn't let this go through, because fair play, he looks fuck all like Spider-Man. He looks absolutely horrific. He looks like a sex offender. Was Marvel not on the verge of bankruptcy in the mid-90s?
Probably.
I think to be fair. So they were clenched. But yeah, I think.
And now they make 50 films a year.
They have.
Yes.
Let that be a lesson to anyone who's struggling out there.
Can only fail so many times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Shockmasters, you could one day be world champion. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Unless you're dead.
I mean, I should have put the belt on him.
Have we rang as much juice out of Equalizer versus Shockmaster as we can? I watched this yesterday. I can't even remember.
Yeah, I was about to say I watched this less than 24 hours ago, and
I can't remember.
I remember the finish. It was like a bear hug, and he just knelt down. And I always think that's just the absolute most dog shit wrestling move, because all you're doing is like picking up a heavy bloke, like holding a big bag of compost or something, and then just slamming your knees off the ground. It's like, that's gonna just fucking hurt.
Do you remember the Yeti?
I remember the Yeti.
His bear hug.
Yeah, it's just stupid. I hate it.
I mean, yeah, no, fuck it. Let's just move on to Johnny B. Bad versus Steven Regal. Now, obviously, but the last Clash of the Champions 23 we watched it was Buff Bagwell versus Steven Regal, and we were just marveling at all the chain wrestling, the drop toe holds, the link ups, and that everything was just so seamlessly fluid. And this was the exact same. And I was wondering, was Johnny B. Bad and Buff Bagwell a lot more talented than I remember, or is it just that Steven Regal is that good that he can make anybody look like $1 million?
Johnny B. Bad is more talented than you remember. Buff Bagwell is not. Unless he wants to come on the podcast, and obviously he's most underrated.
I really feel like we're like burning a lot of our goodwill with Buff Bagwell right now. I don't think Buff Bagwell is going to come on. We've been very unkind about Buff Bagwell recently, but
Cammy has been very unkind about Buff Bagwell.
Yeah, that's true. Cammy's not here. Buff, if you're listening, Cammy is dead again. We've killed him.
The only person who's pissed off more than Buff Bagwell is Lex Luger. Like, that man has a vendetta against Luger. Like, what on earth did Lex do? Like, every time
I think this goes outside wrestling, man.
Yeah,
I think Lex Luger stole his girl or something, because that he does not like Lex Luger.
It's probably some story like in the mid-90s, like Cammy went to see the Lex Express, and he was really excited, and he was standing there with his autograph book, and it was like Stan, basically. He just he's writing letters to like Lex, dear Lex, I'm writing your story, writing back.
I mean, as soon as you said,
I went to see the Lex Express. It's not my fault your last match was a mess. Oh God,
that was good.
That's not bad.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I mean, Hogan did drop the strap to him in WCW, so I mean, he must have had some kind of political clout behind the scenes.
Well, interestingly enough, he didn't. Lex Luger, when he tried to go back to WCW, Bischoff didn't want him. Sting had to politics for him. Sting was like, to Bischoff, like, a favourite of me, do my favour, he's a mate and stuff. He didn't want him.
Isn't that amazing how in the space of 2 years you can go from I will never hire this man again to we're going to put the big strap on him. And not only are we going to put the big strap on him, Hogan's going to do the favour for him.
Yeah, it's true. Wrestling's a fickle business. I genuinely didn't mind Lex Luger. I didn't
No.
think he was the greatest in-ring technician of his generation, but the guy looked like a world champion, and
Right.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was all right. I thought it had decent matches,
Especially
had decent charisma.
I mean, WCW 97, 98, where you had that absolutely the All-Stars kind of roster as well, that you could you had so many pieces to juggle in that you could have filled out the sides, you know?
I mean, and I thought the Lex Express gimmick was that wasn't great, but I mean, his narcissist gimmick was excellent. Coming to the ring with all the medals and stuff like that. And...
So anyway, trying to be bad for system.
Yeah, but he's not wrestling this match.
No, we need to give. No, this was. I really liked this. The time the truth, I thought this was great.
I would go as far to say it is yet again Lord Steven Regal, to give him his full title. Yeah, making a wrestler look good, but obviously you've got Mark Miro in the ring with him as well. It's just a formula for success.
My Mark Miro's a very, very underrated talent. I thought he was great as Johnny B. Bad. His Wildman gimmick. Sorry?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, was he not the first person in the States to do the shooting star press?
It's the first person I've ever seen do it. And the guy he had a great look about him. He was very athletic. He could work. It was legit.
The fact that, I mean, he was legit. Like, he was a 2-time Golden Gloves boxing champion, and obviously you tell that to Dusty and he saddles you with the Little Richard gimmick. I mean, it's like...
wrestling.
But especially at a time like that, where the product maybe could have had a few more rougher edges. I mean, it's like... I mean, we remember, obviously we never actually officially... Some of us did watch. You remember when we were having the big thing about whether or not we were going to do Mania 6 or whether or not we were going to do Great American Bash 1990? Great American Bash 1990 was a little bit rougher. Like, it was definitely a little bit more serrated around the edges, especially compared to like 93 and 94.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I always think like 93, 94 has been kind of lost years for WCW. I always think like 91, 92, you had kind of like Sting. Like, obviously Sting was still there, but I think 93, 94, there's a blur from me. Unfortunately, the Bulldog was there at that time, but that seems to add to it. You had these kind of ex-WWF guys going and not really doing much.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. Well, even, I don't know if you watched any kind of the Kevin Nash documentaries or that they've done over the years. It's like when he was approached about going down to Atlanta in 96, he went, it wasn't like we were on level playing field. They were still very much way at the back of the bus, you know. It wasn't like, we were just, jumping from one point to another. No, it was the Fed or nothing.
Yeah. I like Johnny B. Bad. I thought it was good. And I thought he pulled this gimmick off brilliantly. I remember this gimmick before seeing him as Mark Mero when I was a wee guy, and I didn't know who Little Richard was, so I just thought it was this very flamboyant gimmick. And let's be honest, he pulled it off, and to do a Johnny B. Bad, a Little Richard gimmick in the early 90s in WCW takes balls, but the guy could also just battle you if he got any abuse, so hey.
Well, I'm saying that they could have roughed the character up, but at the end of the day, like in 98, that was what he did anyway, so it doesn't like there was that in the box.
It was such a good heel during that time as well. He was second fiddle to Sable, and that's an unfortunate truth of it. But you remember that angle they hinted at where he battled it? They hinted that he beat up Sable.
Well,
it was just like a lead balloon like type thing. You know,
we're going into the infamous powerbomb of doom that ended his career,
Yes.
and that because Austin saw that and went, "I'm not working with him." But, yeah, I mean, in fact, it's out there now. I mean, Cornette told the story. I'm pretty sure Austin confirmed it. But yeah, it's like man gets powerbombed by his wife, and he's home. That's it.
Man, what a way to end your career.
Oh, fucking hell, eh? Especially if you was he not taken out of the brawl for all because there was a fear that he was actually going to be too good?
I think he was in it. I think he got injured.
Oh, no, fuck it.
I'm sure he was in it. There was a story of him. I think it was on Austin's podcast actually. He was talking about Sable and Brock Lesnar and stuff, and he was saying like, when I first heard Sable and Brock Lesnar working together, I wasn't too happy, but what am I going to do? It's Brock.
That's nice. Yeah. What was I going to say about the brawl? Because obviously the end of the brawl for all was you got the match with Butterbean, But when we watched In Your House DX, like Merrill had a match for Butterbean anyway. So
Nobody told Butterbean that it was a work when he fought Buttergun. That was a shame because I quite liked the Butterbean Mark Merrill thing. It was it was a work obviously, but it had a wee bit of shoot element. There was some wee digs put in here and there to make it look good. Mm-hmm. The Buttergun thing, I don't care what anybody says, Cornette, Jim Ross, anybody. That was to teach Buttergun a lesson. What the lesson was, I'm not entirely sure.
It started off as a way to teach Bradshaw a lesson, and it ended up as something completely different. But the thing with Bart Gunn was it gave us the best episode of Dark Side of the Ring of all time. That episode is straight comedy. Like the other episodes have always got that kind of tragic element. Okay, the Brawl for All, well, other than the Dross thing, obviously, but the Brawl for All is like one of the more lighter episodes and that. But obviously, it ends with Butterbean actually watching the Mania 15 match, and he went, if he just double-legged me, he probably would have won, which you're not allowed to do in boxing, obviously.
No. I mean, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. No. But there was no way. I don't believe anybody sat and thought, Bart Gunn's got a good chance here. No offense to him, Bart Gunn could rattle me, but he's a trained boxer. Butterbean is shit.
And his whole shtick is he just knocks people out as well.
Right. Shall we just move on to match number 4? Austin.
I mean, we're not done talking about Steven Regal, but sure.
Oh well, no, I'll let you get your shit in. Absolutely, by all means, you stand Regal.
No, it was just a great match. But we're talking about the W needing more aggressive, like rough around the edges guy. It just reminds me of when I think, well, obviously it was later on when Regal had a match with Goldberg. And he just beat the fuck out of him.
He shot on him for 6 minutes.
He worked stiff, and Goldberg was like, I wasn't expecting that because Regal was just kicking the shit out of him.
The behind that's amazing.
He should have got more, man. That's all I'll say. He should have got more.
Have you ever seen Regal doing his spoken word thing?
No.
If it comes back and we're allowed to do things again, like go places, events and that, go see him. He's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. It's no him in a person. Like we get an interview thing. I saw one with Shawn Michaels like that, and it was like the guy on stage asking questions, telling a story. It's just Regal himself for about an hour with a mic.
Oh yeah,
and it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
I'll do that. I'll take that.
Yeah, I just want to say the behind the scenes story on the Regal Goldberg match is hilarious, and that like the agent comes up to them and goes, right, we want you to have a nice, clean, competitive match and drag it out a bit. Which I'm just assuming that agent had never seen Goldberg before, never watched the Goldberg match. And apparently, like when they got back, Eric was like, "What the fuck is that?" And apparently, the agent was just kind of like slinking away from that.
I mean, fair play to Goldberg as well. I mean, he could have just snapped.
I mean,
it'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting fight.
Oh yeah,
Goldberg
wouldn't have won.
No, but it'd be interesting. I'm sure Goldberg would have got some digs in.
I mean, Let's just move on to Austin versus Pillman, which was originally the big reason for doing this episode, because I thought it was more of a thing within the conference show, but no, it's.
I was really looking forward to this, thinking this is going to be great. Like Hollywood Blondes, Oz, Austin, Pillman. And yeah, as you say, it wasn't really a thing. It was kind of like flung together and it was over.
I don't remember as well Pillman making his entrance. It sort of just felt like, Austin showed up, ran into the ring, and it didn't feel like the pseudo main event that it looked like, but I think this was a good match, to be honest.
I didn't think it was a bad match. I thought it was rushed. I thought it was too short. I wanted more from it.
Yeah. But looking at it as well, and you're going to turn around to someone, you time travel to 1993. You can't warn them to keep their head down in the end of 2019, 2020. You can't tell them that. Maybe tell them to like get invest in toilet paper, just as a passing comment. But you turn around and you say, like, look, one of those guys in that ring is going to be the star of the 90s and probably still one of the biggest stars in wrestling. Today, let's be honest, Austin's star hasn't really fallen. If anything, it's grown with the myth and the mystique that his career probably ended before its time. But you turn around and say, right, which one of those two guys is going to be the star of the 90s? You'd say Pillman.
Yeah.
No,
Easy.
Thank God you brought that up, because obviously we're in the wake of the Dark Side of the Ring premiere episode. I mean, that's just fascinating as it was. And yeah, I mean, Christ almighty, you want to talk about the potential, the whole loose cannon thing. It was very 98, 99. Unfortunately, it was just, obviously timing was everything. I mean, I just want to say this, obviously, before you guys shut off, but obviously, like they even mentioned in the episode, the plan was eventually to redo the kind of feud with the Hollywood Blondes, and Austin Pillman would have this whole thing in '98. But I want to say right off the bat, do you want to say, like, because we're in the wake of the whole, like, if you look at like Unforgiven and Over the Edge, it's very easy to imagine Pillman in the Dude Love spot, like he's the whole anti-authority guy that Vince has propped up and that. And I feel like, because obviously everything was done like the year in advance, like booking wise anyway, so it's very easy to imagine like he was in that spot originally before it all went to.
Yeah, I mean, his gimmick was excellent. The loose cannon thing, it was absolutely brilliant. And then you had instant like Austin breaking into his house and he's got the gun, and you're like, whoa, what? I remember, like, I didn't even see that at the time, because wherever they showed it on TV, they cut the gun segment out, and I just read about it in like wrestling magazines. I'm like, Pillman had a gun? What? He pulled a gun out in Austin? I'm still at school at the time, and we're talking about it saying, did you hear that Brian Pillman pulled a gun out in Austin? I'm going, you've made that up. Because then you could see it. There was no clip of it we could see. It was on the internet. You're saying the idea, okay, looking back for him, say, who do you think would be the big star? It's the whole Rockers thing in it, though, as well. Everybody thought Marty Jannetty was going to be the breakout star. I mean, and I know Pillman got injured in that as well, had the car crash and things that kind of hit his career. But yeah, it's a shame, because he should have been a lot bigger.
I said there's that really ugly spot at the end where it looks like Pillman lands on his head. Before I don't know, is it after Vince, after Steve does the stun gun or whatever it is? I mean, there's that. No, it's when Pillman jumps the ropes and Robert Parker pushes him and he looks like he lands on his head. Oh god, that was brutal in that. But Austin's finisher at this time, the stun gun, I just absolutely love that finisher. I think it was great. I know he used it for a couple of years when he first joined the Fed, and then he just obviously moved on to the stunner. But fuck, the stun gun just looks, it's such a nice finish. It really is. Hopefully someday somebody will bring it back. But yeah, I think are we at the end of the Austin versus Pillman talk?
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's not much. There's nothing much happens in the match. It's very short. It's a good match. It's quite intense, quite aggressive. I didn't like the finish. It just seemed like it's over. It didn't feel like there was going to be a free count, and then there was, and you kind of like, that's just done. Excellent, all good.
Well, I mean, you didn't really need Robert Parker. Like,
no.
I could have no problem believing Steve Austin could beat Pillman on his own.
Why was the Colonel there? He's not going to do anything.
The Colonel.
Dressed like fucking Colonel Sanders, man.
Yeah. Right, so after this, we've got match number 5, Orndorff versus Dustin Rhodes. This was great. I like this. Again, right off the bat, Dustin, he moves like a snake. Like the minute the bell rings, he just like zigzags.
He's a big man as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly.
He's got a real agility for a man of his size.
Mm-hmm. The natural. And again, it's like right off the bat, it's like the anti-Mark Merrill thing. Like Dustin's treated very, very legit here, and then when he goes to the Fed, it's like, oh, here's this 6'6", 260-pound man. We're going to make you an androgynous Oscar. I mean, just that one-on-one, just fuck you kind of mentality. It's brutal to see. It really is.
It's weird because as good as the Goldust character is and really did something for Dustin's career, I'd have liked to have seen the natural gimmick carrying. Well, not gimmick, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This whole natural all-American athlete, son of the legendary Dusty Rhodes character, carry on with that, because I really think you could have gone further and further with it.
Yeah. I know what I mean, but I suppose it's all kind of like Vince-ism of, what did you do over there? You've got to do the opposite here.
Yeah.
Steve,
it's always opposite day.
Yeah, you caught Stunning Steve over there? No, over here, son.
Now you're Frank McFrost.
You're not that candy here.
I mean, they gave
How do you
Austin
feel about
a chance when he first came in. Austin had to scratch and claw to get something half decent, didn't he?
Well, apparently there's a story with Mark Merrow when Vince signed him. It was a Johnny B. Bad character he wanted. And apparently they said to him, you can't, WCW owns that. And I would argue, well, technically Richard owns that, so I think you could choose it if you wanted.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How did they just never get sued about this?
I mean, how did they never get sued about the Crow?
It's really weird to think, because what in this we've had the Equalizer, we've had Sub-Zero, we've had Spider-Man, we've had the guy just named after a TV show, and we've had the Crow, and no one's just turned around and been like, right, we're gonna fucking sue you. You can't do that.
I bet on the kind of the minor English indie leagues, there's been a wrestler called the Midsummer Murderer or something like that. I wonder if
Okay. Let's see what we can do with this.
Guaranteed there's been a wrestler called the Knight Rider at some point.
Oh yeah.
Probably in WCW.
I'm gonna go into wrestling and just call myself like Inspector Morse or something.
I was going to say, there's a wrestler who just goes by the name Frost, and his finisher is a touch of frost.
He's just got a little like white mustache. Makers of ITV furiously on the fucking phone.
Yeah, you can start a stable with Glacier.
So some guy in Gloucestershire Championship Wrestling. He's like one of the fucking characters from Casualty.
Well, I never got the whole thing with like Sub-Zero. Just while we're on the discussion now, like you introduce Canyon as this made up character Mortis, who like surely he should have been like Scorpion. Like if you're gonna have Sub-Zero, why can't you? I mean, I like that. That's where they decide. No, we'll get sued for that.
Oh, that's what I mean. 2 lawsuits? That's a bit much.
Yeah.
But 1 lawsuit, you can handle it.
Yeah, they're probably sitting backstage and like, you're going to be Glacier, and Mortis, you're going to be the Stinger. Oh no, we'll go to Stinger. Black Scorpion, they've done that as well. That's probably why. That's the only reason Mortis was never the Scorpion. They've done the gimmick before.
Oh, I don't think that's the reason. I think they're going to go where every guy would just have the same gimmick.
They should just have kind of covertly started stealing Mortal Kombat characters until somebody official looked at them. What the fuck?
That'd have been brilliant, wouldn't it have? Absolutely brilliant. Missy Hyatt, like, repackaged as Sonya Blade.
Fuck it, like, just go whole hog, man. Go into like Super Smash Bros.
But you can imagine the commentators kind of like putting it in to the commentary and stuff. So that's always, he's going for his finish. You go, finish him!
This is some Mortal Kombat.
We got these 2 guys fighting in combat. Some people even say this is Mortal Kombat. Then Hogan comes in, he's a Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I made a note as well. I can't remember in which match it. Oh yeah, it was the Regal match. Sorry, just doing the commentator voices remind me about Jesse Ventura. In the Regal match, he was talking about obviously Regal being a blue blood and cheating, and he was just like die. I was like, what?
Yes.
That was the other one. It was the Reddit one. It was Fergie. I was like, this is like 1993, man.
I love Jesse Ventura.
So glad they brought up Jesse there, Ollie, because I mean Jesse just does the absolute most during this match with the assassin and Dustin Rhodes. Right, so basically Paul Orndorff has this beach ball of a man behind him that basically just sits there and like slowly inches forward towards Dustin the entire match, and Jesse's like pointing out, Like, why is he called the Assassin? Like, there's almost nothing covert about him. Like, he doesn't.
Until Dusty Rhodes came out, I thought it was Dusty Rhodes.
Well, it's quite fun. Like Dustin, it's like the old meme with like nobody cheers Squidward, and then SpongeBob comes out and like the entire Krusty Krab is just hey, but like Dustin gets absolutely nothing, and then Dusty comes out and it's like hey, you get the big Mexican wave and that throughout the crowd and that. Yeah, but at the end when the Assassin and Dusty lock up, you hear Jesse go, "Oh, it's time for the battle of the heavyweights."
I mean, how over is Dusty here still?
Oh. I mean, it's in Florida. It's in Pensacola.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Florida, so
it's the way he milks it when he's kind of like he's listening to the crowd, but kind of mimicking the mask. It's all this kind of wee old school carny type things to get the crowd involved. It's great.
I mean, was he never not over?
I think it's how over he was here still. I know he's not too far removed from his wrestling career, but he's probably the most over person in this entire card.
Because I remember like when he like appear on like mid noughties Raws and that, people would go fucking nuts for him.
Yeah,
it's one of those. It obviously I didn't really know my history that much back then, but you just knew he was a big deal.
Do you think it's possible they may have the greatest wrestling theme tune ever? He's WWF one.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's so good.
I mean, that's not just even a good wrestling tune. That's a great song. You could just listen to it at the house.
Yeah,
it just gets you pumped up.
What was I going to say? Yeah, Orndorff. Another guy just looks like $1 million. Again, I don't think he ever actually did have a run with the US title. I think he was a TV champion or whatever, right? But I mean, it just you could have. He was like, I mean, I know he worked on top with Hogan in '84 and '85 and that. Like he was a top guy in the Fed there for a period of time. But you could have put that US title on him for years. Like in Atlanta, like he just screamed like that US title for life. One of those type guys, just a real workhorse.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he actually ended up becoming an agent for WCW even after his in-ring career ended. And that, like he put the matches together. Presumably, he never talked to Regal or Goldberg. I don't think that was him. I think he probably fessed up to that. But yeah, no, it was really, really good. I had to Google the Assassin. Because I was like, my God, like it was like because they mentioned like the Assassin's storied career, and I'm like, what storied career? Like I've never heard of the guy before now, and I googled it, and he's still alive, which is great, obviously. And another thing is he's the father of Nick Patrick, who was like the lone WCW referee. So fun little bit of trivia right there. But yeah, this was really, really good. This was, I mean, it's not even it's like the pseudo main event. But and at the end when Dusty's like hugging the US title, like he won it. Like, it's just this great stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Right. So match number 6, Davey Boy and Sting versus the Nasty Boys. I wasn't very into this. The truth.
No, it was a bit crap.
I wanted to be.
It was a bit underwhelming.
I love Sting. I like Davey Boy. I've never been the biggest Nasty Boys fan, to be fair. No. We had the Demolition, Legion of Doom and stuff, Heart Foundation, and I was never the big Nasty Boys fan. I just never really got it. But yeah, this was a very good match.
It wasn't. I mean, Bulldog, I don't think really. It just didn't click in Atlanta. Like I know he got cheered and all that, but still to this day, it's like even when you look at Bulldog in Atlanta, it's so out of place. Really.
It is, especially I would say even more so this run than the second run.
I mean, the second run was minuscule, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously there was the incident, was it Fall Brawl '98 and that where he took the back body drop into the cage and that and he fucked his back up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. I was like the Bulldog, but yeah, I don't think he really clicked in WCW, especially at this stage. He kind of paired him with. It's kind of like he was doing the Lex Luger gimmick, the Lex Express stuff here before Luger was doing it in the Fed.
Do you think that was originally intended for Sting? That whole kind of Lex Express thing? Because I know, like, I'm sure there was the interview with Jim Ross one time where he mentioned, like, you know, originally, like when they brought Ultimate Warrior and all that, and it was like, yeah, we wanted Sting Like we would have took Sting in a heartbeat and that, but obviously like the road schedule and all that, like I don't think Sting would have. He certainly wouldn't have had the endurance he's had he went to New York.
No, it's possible. I mean, I love Sting. I'm a massive Sting fan, and it's good to see him kind of the surface thing here. But this tag team, the Allied Powers, they really tried to make it work, and I don't. Maybe a better tag team they were fighting, but I did say I like this match. Like Sting, like Bulldog, but it didn't work for me.
I couldn't get into it. There's nothing happening, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not, and again, we were pouring one out for Surfer Bros thing a couple of weeks ago, and that obviously I don't think it's any surprise to say he's like the favourite incarnation of the character and all that, but yeah, he really didn't have that much to do. I mean, it's unfortunate with Sting. Like Sting was always that upper babyface kind of character in that, where it's like he would, it's like, oh god, that's him getting fucked again. Like he got chewed out on the regular and that because he'll make the big comeback and all that, but it never really happened, and it's a shame as well because watching one of the things with Jim Cornette, I think it was like kayfabe commentaries or whatever in that, but it was talking about 1990 and that in the run up to the Great American Bash, when it's like Sting had been chasing the belt and chasing the belt and chasing the belt, and it was like the audience really wanted to see Sting chase the belt. Like they wanted the idea of him getting the belt, but when he actually did get the belt, the pay-per-view buy rate went down and the ratings went down and all that, because it was like,
what now?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you go?
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame as well because like Sting is WCW, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And obviously his characters reflected like the tone and everything and that. Like, so you've got the blue and yellow early days thing, and obviously you've got the black and white later on thing. I never got the whole thing with him joining the Wolfpack. I don't know.
I didn't like that either, personally.
Because I know, like in all these kind of woke culture and cultaholic lists and all that, they always talk about the is it Mania 31? Like the NWO comes out to help Sting and all that, and the whole thing was why would they help Sting? I'm like, it was in the Wolfpack, so it's entirely possible that they would help Sting.
I know, it's an because I think it was Scott Hall said that in an interview. He's like, when you're NWO for life, and it's like, yeah, but it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Because you're coming out in the black and white NWO, and
well, they weren't going to come out in the red and black.
No. Obviously, but it's like Sting spending his entire WCW career trying to destroy the black and white NWO in his little years. But it was a cool visual.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we've got the actual main event up next for the actual WCW World Title, not that fake WCW World Title at the start of the card. Ric Flair versus Vader.
I don't think it's worth discussing. We'll see you next week for some more wrestling action. Thank you very much and good night.
No.
Again, I'm going to be honest. I like this match, but the ending. What the fuck?
It's a TV that literally anybody can watch.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, Vader got disqualified for knocking the ref over. That's, I'd say, obviously, knowing what we know now, and obviously in modern wrestling today, knocking the ref over, just for shits and gigs, really. Just push him over. No one cares. You're not going to get disqualified. They're all cucks. But it's one of those, he got pushed over, and then he decided to just count Flair. The 3 count. It's like, I know it gives Flair the win and Flair the pop, but there's no purpose to it. There's absolutely no purpose because he's holding the belt up, and it's like, oh yeah, because Vader pushed the ref over, he's been disqualified, so Flair doesn't win, really. It's just like, what?
Is this what the kids would refer to as a dusty finish?
To be fair, I think a lot of the WCW pay-per-views tried to have their cake and eat it, especially like at this period in time. Like they always wanted like the cheers to win, but obviously the belt has to stay on the villain until it's like a Starcade or a Havoc or something bigger than that. But I think this was a pretty synonymous finish. Like this did tend to happen a lot back then.
Again, you could have had a more nuclear disqualification finish. Like hit him with the belt. Have someone run in. Don't have the. Because I mean, this has been bookended by shithouse disqualification finishes. Because a double count out. That's just fucking stupid. If they're just both stood outside the ring, I don't get that. I think it's completely stupid. Why are you just both stood outside the ring? Why don't you just get back in? You know, and then you could have had Rick Rude hitting him with the belt, or again, I know someone running in is just what I'm going to, but you know what I mean. Just have a DQ finish where there's a bit of heat instead of just like he's rules are rules, unfortunately.
And I agree 100% that you want a more kind of definitive DQ finish. But this is still, it's deliberate to make it confusing. But wrestling shouldn't be confusing.
No. As much as we want to talk about marks and smarks, look, you either want to see the villain wriggle his way out of this one, or the face to have the heroic win. It's a real black and white option here. There's a binary to it. And this is just... It's nowhere. Yeah, it gives no clarity as well. And if you couldn't hear the ring announcer, you'd be sure that Flair won.
Yeah. It's I can't understand as well. You get a lot of these kind of finishes where the champion gets counted out, the champion gets disqualified, and the opponent will always take the belt like he's won it. I'm like, mate, you know the rules by now.
Yeah.
The title's not changing hands here.
No. You've not won it.
I was going to say, obviously, it predates Hart and Austin, but I mean, if they had like a finish where Rick had put Vader in the figure 4 and Vader has just passed out, rather than submitting that, obviously they still could have kept the belt on Leon, but have Rick have his big moment in the sun and that. But and I mean, when I say Ric Flair needs any more moments in the sun, but it just would have, go home happy. Leon would have been out.
It's just weird. You got a really kind of confusing finish where you're not really sure what's happened until you're told, and then they just empty the locker room.
Yeah.
I know Rick. I think was it Starrcade '93. Yeah, because Starrcade '92 was Sting and Vader. Yeah, so Rick did end up winning the big title at Starrcade of that year, and obviously I don't think Leon ever got a look in again. But obviously that was that. But if it's I don't think Clash of the Champions was actually big enough to justify a world title change. It was a bit like the In Your Houses. Like, did the Winged Eagle ever change hands at an In Your House? I want to say finally there was the final 4, wasn't there, with Vader and Austin, and when Brett won it. So other than that, I don't think it ever changed hands at an In Your House, and there was like 20 different In Your Houses.
Again, you can just give more clarity with it. You can have Vader just going over without any real cause or concern. Again, obviously this is still back when kayfabe is big, but from a wrestling point of view, you don't need to swap the belt on a house show. You don't really need to do that, or you can just swap it and say, okay, you'll just have to give it back on Saturday night. But this just doesn't go anywhere.
Did not one title change hands, did it?
No.
They were all fought for. It was Clash of Champions, and not one title changed hands.
I mean, I'd rather have none of them change hands than all of them change hands. I mean, I think I've noticed a bit like that.
But I think obviously there is the mid ground of a couple of titles changing hands and a couple being retained. But I'd rather have all the champions retaining on a B pay-per-view than all the titles changing hands.
I mean, you bring up an interesting point. Was it that hard to believe that Vader could beat Rick?
No, again, he's the big monster heel. Even if he'd used a couple of dirty tricks to get over, you'd understand it. No one's going to be like, "Well, I simply don't believe that." He's big Van Vader. In the right set of circumstances, you could probably crush Ric Flair's sternum.
Now you're seeing things from my perspective, Buddo.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know.
Is this what a year of this has done to me?
Like, suddenly you're pretending to be the anti-bit. Like when we talked about Canadian Stampede for like the second week we ever did recording, you were like, I would have put the belt on Vader and fucking ran him to the moon with it. I know you.
I mean, yeah.
I'm saying this just to...
I do love Vader, but your love of Vader and my love of Vader are two very different concepts.
We've reviewed a lot of 97 shows where obviously Leon was there, and we've done obviously now early days WCW where Leon was there. So we can either do early days WWF or we can do late period WCW where he wasn't. Anyway,
I'm torn between not giving you what you want.
I will push this boat up this hill. I want you to know that.
And the fact that it always feels like if Vader's on the card, there's going to be a few good matches. It feels like there's a quality seal. If Vader's in the company at the time, there's good things happening.
I mean, he didn't have that many shit matches.
No. To be honest, I'd say that said, I can't recall a bad Vader match.
Yeah, good work.
No, absolutely. Right, so Clash of the Champions 25 in summary. It's a strong pass. I would say.
I would give it a C-.
I didn't think it was as good.
Grading it.
I didn't think it was as good as the last one we watched, but it was all right.
I still think it was good. It wasn't unenjoyable. It didn't really lag for me, but I think you could have done so much more with it.
Yeah,
I just think it's good, but it's lacking.
Absolutely. Right, shall we just save what we're doing next for the group chat? And then
I think we should. I think we should save a bit of.
We ain't got nothing.
A bit of
Cammy's
mistake.
picked it.
What was it? What did Cam say?
Cammy already picked it.
He's not here.
Oh well.
His suggestions go out the window. If he's not going to turn up, he's not going to get a say. No kidding. Love you, Cammy. Yeah.
We're all thinking of you, buddy.
Stay strong.
Please come on through.
Whatever you're going through, pull through it. Or don't, But
what the? Don't pull through. Just fucking die, Cammy.
Yeah, your suggestion won't work for me, brother.
Just try turning it off and on again.
I have like no issues up the sleeve when it comes to suggestions and that. Like literally, the only one I can think of is like maybe doing one from one of the Raws from like around Mania 15. But
I really want to do SummerSlam 97 though at some point because there's so much on that card that I've got fond memories of. I wonder if it holds up.
That's not a bad shout.
There's a lot of moments on it. You've got the Austin incident. Pillman's there. You've got a incident with Shamrock. You've got obviously Brett and Taker, the Sean's referee. There was a lot happening on that card.
I'll indulge you on this one.
Dare we go back to a 97 show? Yes, we will.
Hang on. Right. Talk amongst yourselves.
Playing over this when I made it.
Oh, that's fine as long as people are ignoring me. No. Match number 3. The Legion of Doom. Animal and Hawk. Animal and Hawk defeated the Godwins. And this was not just a squash or a schmaz or a whatever you want.
16 minutes, didn't it?
It was 10 minutes.
Oh, well,
it's gonna feel like 20, but
that's 10 minutes including entrances, remember? So you still get to see the Road Warriors come down.
Okay. Oh, Los Barricas are there. Los Barricas are there as well. DOA are there.
I didn't need to know this. You should have kept an element of surprise, Ollie. You know that.
No. There are no surprises here. I mean, it's a 97 pay-per-view. Are you surprised that the Godwins, Los Barricas, and DOA are there?
That's a good point. I'm actually surprised they're not in that Clash of Champions pay-per-view.
They're just everywhere, man.
I'm expecting to pop up at NXT at some point.
Oh, okay. Let's see where we can go with that one.
Absolutely. Right. Well, we'll bicker amongst ourselves and find a decisive winner in 2 weeks' time. And until then, signing off.
Stay safe.
It's been a ride.
Stay Cameron.
Keep watching the skis.
Take care now.
Goodbye.
Yeah.